The U.S. has sanctioned Russia for what President Joe Biden called the start of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. "We cut off Russia's funding from the West," Mr. Biden added. Russian MPs have authorized Putin to send troops into 2 rebel-held areas of eastern Ukraine, a step that Ukraine accuses Russia of violating its sovereignty. The West sees the action as a cover for a larger invasion. Earlier this week, Mr. Putin sent troops into the breakaway Donetsk and Luhansk regions to maintain the peace. According to U.S. space technology company Maxar, recent satellite footage shows new troop and equipment deployments in western Russia, including over 100 vehicles at a Belarus airport near the Ukrainian border. In the meanwhile, it is unclear if Russian forces have been moved into eastern Ukraine. Russia just acknowledged that it is carving off a huge portion of Ukraine, Mr. Biden said Tuesday, announcing his first tranche of steps directly targeting Russia. Welcome to Warzone. If you don't want to miss out on any new political news, conflicts, battles, or anything else related to politics, then subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button so that you will always be notified. Sanctions on Russia's foreign debt mean the country can no longer borrow money from Western financial institutions. The U.S. is likewise penalizing Russian elites. They should share the agony and profits of Kremlin policies, Mr. Biden said. The U.S. has previously forbidden American corporations from doing business in rebel-held Donetsk and Luhansk, but few do. Earlier on Tuesday, the UK and EU imposed new measures against Russian banks and individuals. These sanctions target all 351 members of Russia's upper house who voted to recognize the 2 separatist Ukrainian regions as independent entities. The EU's response targets 27 parties to the decision. 5 British banks and 3 Russian billionaires have had their assets frozen by the UK, according to UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Canada, Japan, and Australia followed suit. None of the penalties went as far as a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, though both U.S. and European leaders said greater action would be taken if the situation worsened. U.S. forces are also heading into NATO member states Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which are bordering Russia. 800 infantry troops, F-35 fighter jets, and 20 attack helicopters are being redeployed from Italy to Poland. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the Ukraine situation have so far failed, and President Putin claimed on Tuesday that the Minsk agreements do not exist. The agreements were killed long before yesterday's recognition of the People's Republics of Donbass, he stated. Not by us, not by the Republicans, but by the current Kiev administration. Following Mr. Biden's address, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken postponed a planned Thursday meeting with his Russian counterpart. Now that the invasion is underway and Russia has made it obvious that it rejects all forms of dialogue, he said. He added that if Russia adjusted its stance, the U.S. would engage. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky had previously stated that he would consider breaking diplomatic ties with Russia. In a nighttime speech to the nation, he said he was preparing military reserves, but Ukraine would still seek a diplomatic settlement. Mr. Zelensky suggested a full military mobilization was unnecessary. Since 2014, Russian-backed militants in eastern Ukraine have taken vast swaths of territory. Since then, 14,000 people have perished, many of them civilians. President Joe Biden met with Germany's new leader Monday and pledged to block the vital Nord Stream 2 Russia-to-Germany gas project if Russia invades Ukraine again. Putin answered that only the U.S. and its friends talk of invasion. Simultaneously, Biden and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz spoke at the White House to ease the tension. Russia has piled thousands of troops at the Ukraine's border. The White House is increasingly worried about conflict, and Biden is trying to rally European allies behind harsh economic sanctions against Russia if it attacks. If Russia invades again, with tanks and troops crossing the Ukrainian border, there will be no Nord Stream 2, Biden added. We will stop it. As a result, Russia's economy would suffer, as would Germany. The pipeline is built but not yet operational. In reference to the powerful Western alliance, which Ukraine is not a member of, Biden said, "We are all ready." While Biden was adamant that the pipeline would not be built, Scholz emphasized the need to leave sanctions vague to encourage Russia to defuse the situation. Russia needs to understand that a lot more could happen than they anticipated, Scholz added. The presence of over 100,000 Russian troops near Ukraine has heightened Western concerns. Trump's national security advisor warned Sunday that Russia might attack Ukraine any day, causing an enormous human cost. At the same time, Biden and NATO allies have stated that no troops will be sent to Ukraine to confront Russia. Presidents Macron and Putin addressed their disagreements during their extended conversation, which culminated with sturgeon or reindeer, sweet potatoes, and pear pie with vanilla ice cream. On the other hand, Putin said the U.S. and NATO have ignored Moscow's demands that the alliance ensure it will keep Ukraine and other ex-Soviet republics out, desist from deploying weapons in Ukraine, and withdraw coalition forces from eastern He too expressed the willingness to continue talks and denied that Russia intends to invade Ukraine. "We strongly oppose any further NATO eastward expansion because it threatens us," Putin stated. "It's ridiculous to talk about Russia's aggressive actions when NATO is coming to us. The people of Iraq, Libya, and Afghanistan have learned it from their own experience," he cynically said. Undeniably, Putin warned of a bigger war if Ukraine joined the alliance and attempted to reclaim Crimea from Russia. According to Putin, Europe will be forced into a military clash with Russia. "You will be forced into that conflict. No one wins." Macron hailed the talks as serious and deep, focusing on de-escalation conditions. "It was a convergent aspect," he added. "The coming days will be essential, and we will need to talk deeply." Meanwhile, Biden advised non-essential Americans to leave Ukraine. Positively, Putin stated that some of Macron's initiatives could be used to end the crisis in eastern Ukraine, and they agreed to call following Macron's visit to Kiev on Tuesday. "The answer is yes," Biden answered when asked if Russia has an off-ramp in the impasse. Scholz told German media that military action on Ukraine will have a very heavy price. "And we've been discussing the details for a long time." 14 to 15 Feb. Scholz will visit Kiev and Moscow separately. German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht said her country will soon contribute 350 troops to a NATO battle group in Lithuania. "As a result, we are bolstering our commitment to NATO's eastern flank and conveying a strong message of unity to our partners." Several dozen elite U.S. troops and equipment landed Sunday in southeastern Poland near the Ukrainian border, with hundreds more infantry members of the 82nd Airborne Division due to arrive. To reinforce NATO forces in Poland, the U.S. stated it was sending 350 troops, including 100 Royal Engineers. On Wednesday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and EU foreign policy leader Josep Borrell supported the West's increasingly grim warnings of a Russian invasion. "It's not alarmism, this is the truth," Blinken stated, "and we've witnessed a significant buildup of Russian military on Ukraine's borders in recent months. 140,000 troops massed on the border is not for tea," Borrell said. In reaction to Russia's massive military deployment in Ukraine, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the alliance is considering a permanent military presence in Southeast Europe. "In the eastern half of the alliance, we are discussing longer-term modifications," Stoltenberg said after talks with Polish President Andrzej Duda in Brussels. "If Russia wants fewer NATO on its borders, it will get it." Noting that no final decision has been made, Stoltenberg said the move may resemble the roughly 5,000 NATO troops now stationed in Baltic states and Poland. A comparable force would be stationed in Bulgaria. The goal is to strengthen regional NATO members' defenses. Biden and Scholz also discussed backup gas sources for Europe in case Russia cut off shipments. A frigid winter, a summer with little renewable energy generation, and Russia delivering less than normal have drained Europe's liquefied natural gas reserves. Biden said the U.S. and other countries could cover a substantial amount of lost supply if Russia isolates Europe, but energy experts say replacing Russian gas would be difficult and take time. Export terminals cost billions to build and are full in the U.S. Alright everyone, this brings us to the end of our video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Until then, take care and we will be back with another video.